It was one of those clean, forgettable Saturdays. You know the kind, bright with nothing urgent, where the air smells like fresh asphalt and detergent, and your biggest decision is whether to buy Kirkland or name brand. The kids were half asleep in the cart. Claire pushed while I steered, our hands brushing now and then. We weren't touching on purpose. We hadn't done that in a long time. But that was the rhythm. Unspoken, automatic. Like everything else between us lately. Costco was crowded. We moved through it like a team, efficient and distant. Diapers, juice boxes, batteries. The twins argued over which granola bars to get. Claire settled it the way she always did, quietly, with a little joke that made them laugh and made me feel, once again, like the outsider in my own family. She was better at that stuff. By the time we loaded the trunk, the kids were cranky. Claire rubbed her temples and said, "I'll stop by Home Depot real quick. You take them home. I'll be like 20 minutes. I didn't question it. Why would I? It was a normal thing to say. Normal voice. Normal expression. She kissed the top of Evan's head, said something about grabbing new light bulbs, and got into her car. I buckled the kids into mine. That was the last moment I thought I knew her. I drove home with the windows down. The kids fell asleep by the time we hit the highway. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and laundry when we walked in. I texted Claire a thumbs-up emoji, our usual non-conversation. I microwaved nuggets, cleaned up spilled juice, turned on cartoons. When 20 minutes passed, I didn't think much of it. 30. Then an hour. She wasn't answering. At first, I assumed her phone died. It wouldn't be the first time. But then I saw it, her location. We used to have the app set up for emergencies, never really used it. That night, I opened it without thinking. Just idle curiosity. She wasn't at Home Depot. She wasn't anywhere near it. Her icon was stopped on a side street just past the industrial strip, near the tire shops and those weird vape stores that open and close every 3 months. I zoomed in. A name popped up. Martinez Auto Repair. It meant nothing to me. I called again. Straight to voicemail. I didn't panic. I told myself maybe she was getting something checked. She'd had that slow leak in the back tire. Maybe she remembered and figured now was a good time. But something in me shifted. You know that slow coil in your stomach when something doesn't sit right? When your body knows before your brain does. That's what I felt. Watching the dots sit there. Not moving. At 6:18 p.m., it finally did. She drove again, but not home. She turned off that street and into a small neighborhood I didn't recognize. The kind with single-story houses, chain-link fences, satellite dishes sticking out of every roof. Her car parked outside one of them, then stayed there. By 7:03, the kids were bathed, pajamaed, and I was still watching that icon. She hadn't texted. No call. I fed them dinner, said she probably got caught up. I read their bedtime story, voice shaking just a little. I was still giving her the benefit of the doubt, telling myself it was fine. But after they fell asleep, I got in the car. The house was 15 minutes away. It was dark by then. The porch light was on, but no movement. I parked down the street. Watched. Waited. At 8:12, the front door opened. Claire stepped out. She wasn't carrying anything from Home Depot. No bulbs. No bag. Just her purse, slung over one shoulder. She wasn't walking like she'd been running errands. She was walking like she'd just been somewhere she shouldn't have been. Her hair was pulled loose, lipstick faintly smudged. She looked around, then leaned back in. A man followed her out. Tall. T-shirt, all-stained jeans. I recognized him instantly. He'd helped her with her tires last week. At Costco, in the parking lot. She'd waved me off when I offered to deal with it. Said I wouldn't know what to ask for. He's got it, she said. I remember how she smiled at him then. Not like she smiled at me. They stood too close. He reached for something on her face, maybe a stray eyelash. Maybe nothing. She laughed. Then she kissed him. It wasn't long. It wasn't slow. It was familiar. My heart didn't drop. It didn't break. It just stopped, like I'd stepped out of time. She got in her car and drove off, not back toward home, but toward the grocery store. Maybe to buy the light bulb she said she'd been picking up this whole time. I sat there, gripping the wheel, watching the house, watching him go back inside. She kissed him like it wasn't the first time. And I knew, deep in that cold, bottomless part of myself, I wasn't married to who I thought I was. Not anymore. When she got home, I was folding laundry. The twins were asleep, their dishes in the sink, their clothes sorted into piles on the couch we'd picked out 5 years ago at that same Costco. The air smelled like detergent and something artificial, lavender maybe. It made me nauseous. Claire walked in carrying a plastic bag. She kicked off her flats by the door, the ones with the faint scuff on the toe, tossed her keys into the bowl with the same clatter they made every night. The plastic rustled. Light bulbs. Her alibi. She kissed the top of my head like always. I didn't flinch. Didn't ask. Just watched her. The way she paused before opening the fridge. The way she touched her neck absent-mindedly, like she could still feel where his hand had been. They didn't have the outdoor kind I like, she said. But these will work for the hallway. Her voice was too normal. Perfectly measured. No tension. No apology. She moved through the house like nothing had shifted. Like she hadn't just turned our entire life into a game of theater. She was humming. Actually humming. I followed her to the kitchen, leaned against the doorway. You were gone a while, I said. She didn't look up. Lines were insane. I nodded slow. You went to Martina's auto repair, right? The words floated out of my mouth too softly. I didn't even realize I'd said them until I saw her freeze. Not for long, just the tiniest beat. But I saw it. A blink too long. A breath too short. What? She asked, turning. That shop. Martina's. The one that helped with your tires last week. Your location was on. I smiled when I said it. Not kindly. She frowned, her face curving into that practiced confusion she used when the kids lied about brushing their teeth. Oh, yeah. I pulled over for a second. The car felt weird again. You said you went to Home Depot. She blinked. I meant to. There was this noise. I didn't want to take any chances. She was good. I mean really good. I let it hang there, watching her wrestle with whether I believed her or not. She chose not to push. Just turned back to the fridge. We're out of milk, she said, as if that mattered. I watched her back, watched the curve of her shoulder, the small scar near her neck from when she fell ice skating in college. I used to think that scar made her real, human, vulnerable. Now it felt like a trick. That night, I lay beside her in bed, wide awake, while she scrolled through her phone like nothing had changed. It wasn't rage I felt. Not yet. It was detail, a sharpened awareness of everything. Her movements, her size, the way she curled away from me under the covers. I wasn't looking for signs anymore. I was collecting them. She laughed once, quietly, at something on her screen. I didn't ask. The next morning, I watched her get ready in the mirror. The foundation she dabbed under her eyes. The earrings she hadn't worn in months. She looked good. Polished. Careful. Big day. I asked. She smiled at me through the reflection. Just work. Her reflection lied. I called in sick. Dropped the kids off. Then circled back home and waited. Her car pulled out at 9:03 a.m. I followed from a few blocks behind, staying far enough that I wouldn't be noticed. She didn't go to the office. She didn't even go downtown. She drove past the turn for her building and kept going, back toward that same neighborhood. I stayed 2 cars back, my heart hammering but my hands steady. She pulled into the same driveway, got out of the car, walked to the door like she'd done it 100 times. She didn't knock. He opened the door before she reached it. She smiled. That real one, the kind she hadn't given me in over a year. He said something I couldn't hear. She laughed. He touched her waist. They went inside. She didn't look back. I sat in the car for an hour. 2. She never came out. Eventually, I drove home. I didn't know what to do with what I'd just seen. I had no plan, no confrontation in mind. I didn't want to scream or throw things. I just took it in. Let the betrayal fill every quiet space. At 4:45 p.m., she texted, "Traffic's a mess. Might be late. Can you start dinner?" My hands shook as I stared at the screen. I made dinner. Mac and cheese, steamed broccoli, the kids' favorite dinosaur nuggets. I smiled at them like everything was fine. Tucked them into bed. Sat on the edge of the bathtub while they brushed their teeth. Recited bedtime stories from memory. At 7:03 p.m., Claire walked in. She kissed me again. A little slower this time. A little guilt, maybe. Or maybe just strategy. "Thanks for handling everything," she said. "Of course," I said. "We're a team." She nodded. "Always." That night, while she slept beside me, I opened a new folder on my laptop. I titled it Proof. I started small. A screenshot here. A timestamp there. Her GPS history. A receipt from the car's toll pass that didn't match her story. I wasn't stalking her. Not really. I was preserving the truth in case I ever started to doubt it myself. Because that's the thing with betrayal, it doesn't just hurt. It makes you question your sanity. It's in the ordinary moments where it hits hardest. Like pouring coffee in the kitchen while she hums beside you. Like brushing shoulders on the way to the laundry room. Like the way she still says, "Love you," out of habit, not knowing those words now feel like broken glass in my mouth. The folder grew. Quietly. Steadily. Phone logs. Deleted texts I pulled from the cloud. A Lyft receipt under a pseudonym, Vanessa H. The same day she said she was at a late client dinner. I even found a separate Gmail account logged into our shared laptop. Not in her name. But the recovery email was hers. There were messages. Threads. Not just to him. Others too. One to a friend from her Pilates class. "He's so passive it's like he wants me to cheat. I swear, if he ever grew a spine, I might actually feel guilty." She didn't feel guilty. Not even close. That line kept circling in my head. If he ever grew a spine. Like I was complicit in her betrayal. Like my calm made me culpable. And maybe she was right. I hadn't raised my voice. I hadn't confronted her. I hadn't even changed my routine. I just smiled and nodded and tucked the kids in. But inside, I was moving pieces. Because I knew something she didn't. Claire wasn't cheating on a fool. She was cheating on a strategist. I stopped sleeping much. I'd lay beside her, listening to her breath even out, then slip out to the living room and comb through her lies. I watched how she logged into that second email. Her password manager was lazy, still autofilled everything. In one of the emails, I found a reference to a burner phone. An actual burner. Hidden in the pocket of her old coat in the garage. I didn't touch it. Just powered it on and took pictures of the call logs. 2 calls a day. Every day. The same number. I Googled it. It was him. The guy from Martinez. But here's what really broke me. One message sent just 3 days ago said, "He's getting suspicious. Might need to change routines. I think he's watching me." She knew. Or at least she suspected. And that didn't stop her. That still didn't stop her. One night, she climbed into bed beside me, her skin cold from the night air. She curled into me like she used to, before the kids, before the distance. Her arm draped over my chest. She whispered, "I missed you today." My throat locked. My body froze. I kissed her forehead and said, "I missed you too." That was the night I decided what came next. It started with a phone call to my lawyer. An old friend, thankfully. Discreet. Experienced in things more delicate than divorce. I didn't mention infidelity. Not yet. I just asked about contingencies. Joint accounts. Custody law. What if scenarios. Then I went to the bank. Not to move money. Just to learn what I could move, should it come to that. She handled most of our finances. That used to make sense. She was better with numbers. More detail-oriented. I let her take the lead. Another mistake. Turns out she'd set up her own account a year ago. Her own credit card. Her own emergency fund. It wasn't large, but it was growing. She was preparing to leave. She just hadn't told me yet. The next twist came from someone else. Someone I hadn't expected. On a Monday afternoon, I picked up the kids from school. Claire was supposed to, but she texted last minute, blaming a work thing. I didn't argue. I welcomed the time with them. When we got home, there was a car I didn't recognize parked across the street. A silver sedan. Clean. Idling. I noticed it only because the woman inside didn't look like someone lost or waiting for a friend. She looked like someone rehearsing something. An hour later, the doorbell rang. Same woman. Late 30s. No makeup. Nervous. "Are you Jacob?" she asked. I hesitated. Nodded. She exhaled, like she'd been holding her breath for days. "My name's Lena. I'm his sister. The guy from the shop." "Leo." Her voice caught. She didn't seem angry. Just tired. "I think you need to know something," she said. I told her the kids were inside. Asked her to wait. We walked down the street together, just far enough that their voices wouldn't carry through the open windows. She didn't mince words. They'd been seeing each other for over 6 months. He told me because he thought it was love. But I know she's lying to him too. She reached into her bag, pulled out an envelope. "He doesn't know I'm here. I'm doing this because I've seen this pattern before. With her, with others. She uses people. She builds new lives on the ashes of the old ones. I don't think she plans to keep him." Inside the envelope were printed screenshots. Bank transfers. Conversations. A photo of Claire, my wife, sitting on a motel bed with a cigarette between her fingers. I didn't even know she smoked. "She's planning something," Lena said. "She talks about California. A new start. She says she's cleaning house. Whatever that means." I felt it in my bones. She wasn't just cheating. She was erasing me. Lena left after that. She gave me her number. Said she didn't want to be involved, but couldn't keep quiet. Said Leo wouldn't believe her even if she tried. When I walked back toward the house, I didn't go inside right away. I sat on the porch and watched the sun set behind the trees, orange light slanting across the lawn we used to rake together. Claire came home after dark. Her face tired. Her smile lazy. She kissed me on the cheek like always. And I smiled back. Because I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. She thought she was building a new life. She had no idea she was already living in the wreckage of this one. It's strange how fast you learn to live in the performance. To match her lie with your own. To hold the mask in place, even as it starts to burn the skin underneath. Claire kissed me goodbye each morning like nothing had changed, and I returned the gesture, holding her a second longer than necessary. Just to remind myself how close betrayal can sit without flinching. The folder kept growing. Photos. Voice memos. Screenshots. Every conversation she had in the house was monitored now. I installed the software discreetly, disguised under a fake weather app on her laptop. It wasn't even difficult. The password was our anniversary. She never thought I'd look. She never thought I'd fight. Most of the audio was mundane, but every now and then, she'd slip. Whispering to Leo on speakerphone about plans, fake arguments, how best to shift blame when things got messy. They talked about timing like they were planning a vacation. They weren't. They were planning my erasure. At night, she was warmer to me than she'd been in months. She cooked more, folded my clothes, even wore that perfume I once bought her back when we still touched without calculation. She was building a soft exit, trying to leave the door open just wide enough that, when she slipped through it, she could say, "I tried." And I let her, because I had no intention of stopping her. I just wanted to choose the door she walked through. 2 days after Lena's visit, I called in a favor. My old friend Mike, retired cop, now a private investigator. He owed me. A life debt kind of thing. I gave him everything. The folder, the burner phone records, Leo's address, Claire's GPS history. I didn't have to say what I wanted. He just said, "Got it. Give me a week." While he worked, I waited, watched, listened, and I planned. The hardest part was pretending with the kids. They didn't know, couldn't know. They loved her. And as much as I hated what she was doing, I couldn't poison them with my truth. Not yet. So I kept reading bedtime stories, kept making pancakes on Sunday mornings, kept pretending we were still a family. Until one night, I heard something I wasn't ready for. Claire was on the phone in the bathroom. She thought the fan masked her voice. It didn't. "I can't keep this up much longer," she whispered. "He's getting clingy." Sweet. It's pathetic, honestly. I think he suspects, but he won't say anything. Typical. She laughed. "I give it another week. Then we vanish. You get the truck. I'll get the kids after school like normal. We go straight from pickup to the airport. He won't even know they're gone until we're in the air." I stopped breathing. Not because she was leaving, but because she was taking them. That changed everything. The game was over. This wasn't infidelity. It wasn't even betrayal anymore. It was abduction. Premeditated. She wasn't just leaving me. She was trying to make me disappear from my children's lives like I'd never existed. And still, I didn't confront her. Instead, I waited for Mike's call. When it came, it was worse than I imagined. "You're going to want to sit down for this," he said. I didn't. "She's opened an account under a fake name. Booked one-way tickets to San Diego using a card tied to that name. Paid in cash, but the agent remembered her. Said she smiled the whole time. Said she was taking her little ones to start over. The guy assumed she was escaping a bad marriage." My mouth was dry. When? End of the week. Friday. 3:40 p.m. flight out of Midway. I've got the reservation info. And Jacob? Yeah. There's another guy. Not just Leo. This one's older. Lawyer, maybe. She's been meeting with him during her errands. Different name. I traced the address. It's a mediator's office. What the hell is she doing with a mediator? She's filing first. Wants the kids. Wants full custody. She's spinning a story, emotional instability, neglect, hints at verbal abuse. Nothing she's filed formally yet, but the drafts are there. I pulled her deleted emails. I felt my knees start to go. She was building a case. While she kissed me goodnight. "She's setting you up," Jacob Mike said. "This whole thing, it's a script. And she's already started Act 3. I didn't speak for a long time. Just sat there in the dark, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the faint sounds of Claire brushing her teeth down the hall. Plotting. Waiting. Wearing my name like a mask while she carved out her exit. The next morning, I did 3 things. I called my own lawyer. The one Claire didn't know about. I made a full copy of the folder and delivered it to Mike, encrypted and time-stamped. And then I called Lena. "There's something I need you to help me with," I said. She didn't hesitate. "Tell me where and when." Because this wasn't just about catching Claire anymore. It was about stopping her before she turned the story upside down and walked away with everything, especially the 2 people who still believed she was someone worth loving. I had 4 days, and I intended to use every one of them. The house was quieter that week. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. Not the kind that settles into the bones after a long day. This was tactical silence. Claire stopped asking questions. Stopped checking my calendar. She was gentle, overly so, like she was trying to soothe a wounded animal before putting it down. She kissed me every morning with a softness I hadn't felt in years. Like she was saying goodbye and hoping I wouldn't notice. But I noticed everything. Monday, she packed the kids' overnight bags. Said they might stay at her sister's on Friday. Just a girls' night with their cousins. I didn't ask which sister. She didn't have one close enough for that to make sense. Tuesday, she bought a second suitcase. Not flashy. Just a dark green roller she stashed in the closet under old coats and holiday decorations. The tag still on it. Wednesday, she changed her hair. Subtle, just enough to look different in the family court photos. Enough to be the mother reinventing herself after imagined trauma. By Thursday night, the puzzle was nearly complete. I found her stash of printouts tucked behind the insulation in the garage. Printed screenshots of our bank records, fake journal entries written in her handwriting but dated back months, painting me as unstable, cold, unfit. There was even a voice memo on her burner phone, just her whispering, "You need to calm down," into silence. Practicing for when she hit record. She was staging a crime I hadn't committed. But I let her, because I wasn't just gathering proof anymore. I was preparing the stage for my version of the story. That night, I took the kids out for ice cream. Told Claire we'd be back late. "Boys' night," I said. She smiled like it was cute. She didn't know we'd made an extra stop at a small office building just outside town. Inside was my lawyer. I signed the emergency custody petition while my kids played with the office secretary's golden retriever. The document was clean, simple, laced with evidence she hadn't seen coming. My lawyer had attached pages from the burner phone, GPS logs, witness statements from Lena and Mike, and a single-line affidavit from Leo's ex, who Claire had contacted 2 months ago. Apparently, Claire told her, "I'm just trying to get the kids away from him before he loses it. You understand, right?" We filed at 7:03 p.m. Timestamped. Non-contestable. Early Friday morning, Lena showed up at the house in her brother's car. Leo was out of town. Claire didn't know Lena had access to his GPS history, or that Lena had started recording her own conversations with Claire weeks ago. Lena handed me the final piece of the puzzle, a message Claire sent the night before. "Tomorrow's the day." I pick them up. I drive straight to the airport. I told him I'm working late. We'll be wheels up before he knows they're gone. I gave Lena a burner phone of my own. Told her what I needed. She agreed before I finished. Friday felt like watching a movie in slow motion. Claire kissed me on the cheek. Wore a white blouse I hadn't seen in months. Said she was off to an all-day team training. No laptop, just her purse. The kids had backpacks slung over their shoulders, filled with coloring books and snacks they hadn't packed. Claire waved them into her car with that bright, rehearsed smile. I watched them go, waited exactly 10 minutes. Then I called the police, and the school, and the court liaison, and finally, Claire's phone. She didn't answer. At 3:32 p.m., I got the alert. Her car had passed the I-94 toll booth, headed for Midway. At 3:40, another alert. Her phone turned off, but the kids' phones weren't. I'd placed small GPS tags in their shoes. Mike followed her at a distance. She never saw him. She pulled into airport short-term parking, got out with the boys, rolled 2 suitcases toward Terminal C, walked confidently, checked in at a kiosk. The boys held her hands, looking tired but obedient. They thought it was a surprise vacation. They didn't know. As she printed boarding passes, Mike stepped in, followed by 2 plainclothes officers. She didn't resist, didn't cry, didn't scream. She just froze, stood there with her palm on the kiosk, mid-sentence. The boys were led aside gently. My oldest asked the officer, "Why is my mom in trouble?" No one answered him. They just held his hand and promised everything would be okay. Claire was escorted from the terminal quietly. The officer walked 1 step behind her. She didn't look back. By the time I pulled into the airport with Lena, the boys were waiting in the family services room. Confused, upset, but safe. Lena held them while I signed the temporary guardianship handoff. It was legal now. Official. Claire wasn't coming home with them. When we walked to the car, my youngest asked, "Is Mom going to meet us later?" I didn't know what to say, so I just said, "Not tonight." Claire was charged, but not jailed. They called it a domestic custodial interference case. No priors, no flight record, no actual departure. Just intent. Just enough to lose her the house, the kids, the court's benefit of the doubt. Her lawyer spun it like a misunderstanding. A mom in crisis. A woman overwhelmed. They leaned hard on the sympathy script. But the judge had read every page of the folder, had seen the messages, the second email account, the burner phone, had heard Claire's voice whispering about flights and freedom and fabrications. The court didn't give her jail. It gave her weekends. Supervised. For hours. Twice a month. At a neutral center with murals of smiling cartoon animals on the walls and a staff trained to redirect questions like, "Why can't I go home with Mom?" The kids asked me once, after their first visit, why she cried the whole time. I told them the truth, or at least the version that wouldn't scar them. She's sad about the choices she made. They nodded. Children always believe pain means repentance. I wish that were true. Claire texted once a few weeks later. Just a single line. "You planned this." I didn't reply. What was there to say? Yes, I planned it. Because she planned to erase me first. Because she took the softest parts of our life and weaponized them. Made my silence look like weakness. My calm look like neglect. My love for her, blind and worn and desperate, into something pathetic. I don't know if she loved Leo. I doubt even she knows. He disappeared after the airport. I heard later he moved south, took a job with his cousin. Lena said he never looked back. She texted me a month after the trial ended. She's rewriting it. Says she was manipulated. Says you pushed her away. I texted back, of course she is. Because people like Claire don't see betrayal as betrayal. They see it as a response. A correction. A necessary evolution out of the life they built and now resent. She wasn't running to someone. She was running from boredom. From the Costco trips. The kids' messes. The hollow middle of a marriage that stopped thrilling her. The day the judge awarded me full custody, I didn't celebrate. I didn't cry. I just drove home, picked the kids up from school, and made grilled cheese sandwiches while they argued over cartoons. I don't sleep in our bedroom anymore. I moved into the guest room without telling them why. Changed the sheets. Got rid of her perfume bottles and makeup trays. The drawers are empty now, except for a copy of the custody order and the burner phone. I keep it there as a reminder. Not of her. Of me. Of who I had to become to survive her. Some nights, I still wake up expecting her to be there. Not because I want her, but because some part of my brain still doesn't believe she's really gone. She wasn't the kind of woman you imagine vanishing. She was the kind of woman who filled every room she entered, who laughed loudly, who always had a plan. Even when that plan was to walk into an airport with your children and never look back. The kids don't ask about her much anymore. They draw pictures of us. Me and them and the dog I finally agreed to get. They still say Mom's house, like it's a real place. I don't correct them. I let them carry whatever version of her they need to believe in. The one who still hums bedtime songs in their heads when it's quiet. The one who used to pack lunches with notes that said, "I love you, always." Maybe that woman existed once. I just never met her. This story doesn't have a triumphant ending. It has a stillness. A new rhythm. Slower. Quieter. Made of school pickups and cereal bowls, and the way my youngest still slips his hand into mine when we cross the street. And sometimes, that's enough. The folder's still on my hard drive. Password protected. Unopened for months. I tell myself I'll delete it one day. That I'll let go of the need to keep receipts. But I don't. Because when someone turns your life into a lie, the truth becomes sacred. And you guard it. Even when no one's asking anymore. Thanks for watching. If this story pulled you in, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next confession. Until next time, take care and watch who you trust.